Welcome, Ma, to another Sunday Collective, and welcome everyone who is listening in, tuning in. Today, our topic for our Sunday Collective is time, reality, or illusion. So, we're just coming out of the Diwali festivities, and I thought that this is quite a wondrous topic and a bit philosophical and it has practical applications. It has religious undertones when we talk about illusion and Maya, and we're going to come to all of those discussions and karma. And I feel that all our gratitude series or your gratitude lectures for the Sunday Collective that have led up to this point is really, really fascinating and thought-provoking, and I'm seeing people logging in and joining our beautiful live. So welcome everyone once again, and hello. Hi Tiny Auntie sends her love, says hello Renooji, so good to be with you again, love you both so much. We love you too.
And we're enjoying the flowers. They're adding so much splendor.
And I'm really enjoying this moment. There seems to be a stillness. And I think a perfect place to begin would be the poll that Ma, you did on your Instagram for everyone. That how many people believe that time is... Yes, we're back. Yes, so Ma, we had asked everyone, like, is time a reality or an illusion? And more than 56% of the people said that they believe or they voted that time is an illusion.
Oh my God, really?
Yes, really.
Oh, that's very scary.
So before we... Okay, do you want to start with why that's scary?
No.
No? That's letting the cat out of the bag. So, yeah, so I think... I'm just waiting for everyone to sort of join in. And yes, Ma. So how would you describe time?
I'm just reminded of my childhood, and we had to go to a cousin's house for dinner, and my father was driving the car, and there were all of us in the back. And I kept asking my father, when will we get there? When will we get there? How much more time? When will we get there? And it looked like eternity because I was so excited about getting there and, being with my cousins and playing games. And I kept saying that, when are we going to get there? How much more time? And my father was laughing. He kept saying, we're going to be there soon. And then voila, we were there. And then I kept, playing with my cousins and all. And then when it was time to go home, I could hear my brother murmuring somewhere in the background, when are we going home? When are we going home? And it was like a really funny thing. And then I didn't want to come home. I wanted to stay there for a little longer. And I kept saying, 5 more minutes. And then it was... really cute that on the way back,
yes, Mom,
we got home in like it felt like it was like a split second. And I told my mom that we could have easily stayed, it was just not so far away. So my mother smiled and said that when you were so impatient to get there, time stretched, and in your impatience or in your not getting what you wanted, it was it was like a different feeling. And then we were quick. And I have seen this, and I've spoken to many people throughout my life, and I found that they also have a similar experience. Then when they're very expectantly waiting for something, it looks like time isn't passing. When they're having fun, it's like over in a minute. And the way to a place and the way back, it has different time. That it's the same, kilometers and the same trajectory of, your emotions and the people you're meeting, what you're eating, what you're talking, what you're saying, and yet it's the self experience is so different. So that is my earliest memory of time.
Yes, ma'am. So I think that is what, when we look at like a dictionary meaning or a colloquial understanding or a layperson's understanding of illusion, if we begin with that, since everyone has, or the majority of people have voted that time is an illusion, that we are experiencing this material world through our 5 material senses. And when those senses are tricked, is what we generally consider to be an illusion. So even when we talk about magic and magic tricks and, it's an optical illusion, is that one of your senses, either your sight or your taste or your smell or your touch or your hearing and listening, are being affected by some corruption or some distraction or some misinformation, and then we are assuming something to be true that is not. So a falsity becomes a reality or a truth, and then that, I think, is what most of us would consider to be an illusion. And so if time is binding all of our experiences, and time is partly the process of decaying or the process of death or the time it takes for one molecule of sunshine to deteriorate into nothingness, from a physics perspective, then that is time.
Measurement
of time in our world and our universe, the way that we understand it. And so based on that, then is that a tangible reality or is it an illusion?
It's a tangible reality because the sun rays leaving the sun's body and it's traveling through space and time and it's reaching planet Earth, and it still has the capacity to give you a different experience in relationship to the other, environmental factors, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the same sun is shining, here in London, in the US. Yes. And yet we are all experiencing different body temperatures. We are having different fruits and vegetables growing in our gardens. And our farmers in the fields are cultivating according to the passage of time and the different,
seasons,
from seasons
and the soil. And
so the evolution of the different, creations. Somebody wrote to me today said that you're breathless and you're teary-eyed, and either you're in love or you're choking, because we have so much smog over Delhi. So they said that either you're choking because you're living in Delhi. So I wrote to them that I'm in love.
Yes, it basically says that are you in love or are you in Delhi because of the post-Diwali smog.
Yeah, smog.
Despite all the government's banning on crackers, people...
No, and also the farmers are burning up some of the...
Yes, ma'am.
In Punjab, and so there's influences, environmental influences
that affect our senses, and then what is the reality based on our senses becomes...
That if somebody started a fire in Punjab, by the time the air carries it, time, measurement of time, for it to reach Delhi, it's going to take that much time.
So then is time just a journey, and it's a traveling process from one point to the other?
Yeah,
and it doesn't necessarily have to be a straight trajectory or a linear trajectory. It can be winding and looping and twisting and turning.
Yeah. And also that we have to understand that how are we connecting to where we are today in the now. So, of course, everything happens in the now because there is no other experiential aspect. And then the consciousness is that, are we just living alone, or are we living in a universal consciousness of collaborating with other beings? And are these beings dependent on us? Are we dependent on them? Are the trees also communicating? Are the animals also communicating? Do the trees have emotions? Do we have emotions? How do we express them? Do we express them over time, or it's just a spontaneous moment and then it's just like disappears? No, everything is a continuum, and everything is, we are also living at a particular point. We've taken birth and we are going to live through our emotions, through our education, through our consciousness, through our breath, through our imagination, through learning from other things, expressing ourselves, cooking, learning recipes, learning how to write and read different languages. And at the end of it, what are we going to do? Are we going to merge back into that consciousness, and our body is going to become part of the 5 elements? And are we going to exist in another time frame, or in a body frame, or in a consciousness frame, or an emotion frame? Everything is like very, very, rejuvenating for me to understand it. I remember that somebody had once buried, their parents, and they had grown 2 twin trees. And
intentionally or
intentionally,
okay,
intentionally they had, and very fragrant, blossoms. And so I remember that we used to visit and we used to sit under the shade of the trees, and when the pink blossoms used to come out, and there was so much aroma, and those flowers used to fall, and it used to be like a really fun thing. And then, of course, when time went and then, the flowers faded away, they became dust at the base of the tree. And our experience stayed with us. And then we wanted the next year to go back to have the same experience. But every time we did, it was a completely different experience. It wasn't the same, even though it was like something that we meditated on, we prepared, we thought about. We collaborated, we took flights and trains to get to that point, and to congregate as a group and share whatever had happened, and then we would come back. And it was our love for that place, for the people who were buried there, and for the people who were still living, and we wanted to show that we cared, right? So we are driven by a lot of emotions, a lot of planning, a lot of, patterns of thinking, and influences of other people who are also coming into our life. And sometimes they're just fading away because, nothing is forever. We think that relationships, things, people, homes, jobs, marriages, even having children, that everything is going to be forever, but nothing is forever. So what it is, the passage of time that teaches you that, you have a length of life with a particular thing, even if it's something that you're using all the time. It could be a silver glass that you drank water from for many years, and then suddenly it has a hole and you try to get it repaired, and the silversmith will say it's better to buy a new glass than to repair it. So you will part with that glass, even though it may make you nostalgic, but you will get a new glass, and maybe the new glass has an association with you which is going to be more rewarding, or maybe it's a bigger glass, and you're used to finishing whatever's poured into that glass till the last drop. So you're irrigating your body more, and you're drinking more water. It could be so many different, the influence of the silver on the water. Maybe this silver that you bought is more pure than the silver that was in the glass, the one that you used before. So everything is in a constant flux of change, and that change is over the passage of time.
So then that leads me to the question of coming back to your friends and their parents and the burial site and the trees, and then the cycle of life and death, and being born and being consigned to dust and ash again back into the 5 elements. That when we are binding our experiences with time, जैसे धागा होता है, समय एक धागा है, like time is a string
that binds us and strings the pearls
of the experiences, and then those experiences become memories. So how do we then not live in the past of those memories, but actually enjoy the new blooming flower, the new tree, maybe the new riverbank, the new relationships,
The
and
new
keep
rock.
moving forward without this attachment that the way that, supposing there's a parent and they have a certain equation with their children. And in psychology and in developmental psychology, we always have this sort of progression or evolution of how parents also sort of go through an amputation, almost like because as the child is growing up, they're becoming more independent, and whichever parent is the primary caregiver feels this sense of loss
Withdrawal
and
and
withdrawal. And so I'm sure that all of us can relate. And I'm just saying hello again once to everyone who's joining in. And if all of you have any questions about time and experience and memories and past, present, future, please do ask the questions in the comment section, and I'll try to get to as many as I can. But coming back to this experience and this dhaga pirona, this like stringing of the pearls of experience, that how do we not get attached to the human need that it seems like of wanting everything to be everlasting, like you said, and permanently
the way we want
fixed.
it.
Yes.
And the way we want it.
Absolutely, that control.
Yeah.
So how do we heal that? Or first, can you explain to us why we do that? And then how can we heal that and break free from that?
Because each of us, before we are born, have had a life in this universal context in some form before. We've been through Vedic understanding, we've been part of the flora and fauna, and have had many lifetimes of experience of taking birth and death and rebirth and, the 84 lakh species of life till we get to the human birth, right? So if we just think of it all as a universal construct in which we have to just role play and we have to go through the different parts of that theatrical performance, and we are, coming to the internet, and we're talking about, information on Google, and we're talking about Insta Live, and we're talking about Facebook, and so everybody is constructing that, this is a one-day story. I think I've heard people say that this disappeared, and then somebody else will tell me that whatever you put on the net, it never disappears. It always remains. So I'm just using that analogy to say that whatever are your memories, whatever are your experiences, whatever you've done in previous lifetimes, whatever you've done in the immediate past in this lifetime, they are all part of that stringing together of the memories. Some of them fade away and some of them we carry for lifetimes. And why do we carry those for lifetimes? Because we still need that knowledge and we have to use it in some future experience. And that future experience, we don't know, but we are in preparation. We are constantly educating ourselves, learning. Somebody's learning how to drive, somebody's learning how to knit, somebody's learning how to cook, somebody's learning maybe coding, because I just heard from someone that they're learning how to code, and I asked them what do they want to do, and they said that they want to construct video games, right?
Okay.
And so then are they wasting their time just gaming because they're so engrossed and so addicted to that game, or is it a reality for them? So it's very questionable, but whatever you're experiencing, each one of us is experiencing, even as they're listening to both of us have this conversation, that each one of them is going to take away whatever they understand. It's not like what we understand and we can force feed them. It's all experiential. And again, I go back to, being a little child and listening to Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And I remember that there was I have a very vague memory, and he had said that if I tell you that just concentrate on your breathing, he said that immediately you will not let your breath be the way it was, you will start to change it. Because the minute you start noticing something, you already have that inherent nature that you want to be the controller doer. And so you will even start to control how you're breathing. That's to answer that. What is this inherent nature? This is an inherent human nature.
To want to control.
To want to control even your breath, even though you know that, if you have asthma or you're dying, you can't really, control. You can't say, okay, I'm going to have one more breath, and then I'm not going to fade away. The second part of it is that Srila Prabhupada's, it's today's death anniversary, and I was just
7th of November.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Tithi, and so I was just thinking that the time when 2-3 times in his life he had said that he was near death experience, and then he had controlled his breath, and he had. He was, talking about the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, and he was dictating even at that time. And then the day he passed away, he had showed that how you can be in total awareness of your breath and the identity of giving up your body. And it was all based on how he was breathing at that time and how he was speaking. And even at that time, he was, dictating his realizations and his teachings for his students that he wanted to leave behind from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. So the point I'm trying to illustrate is that knowledge is transferable, but again, whatever anybody is taking from that transference is individual and is... so I remember Maharishi Mahesh, going back to him, that he said that the first is that the breath, you notice the breath. And when you notice the breath, what is, in Ayurveda, we talk about pranayam. So what is pranayam? Pranayam is, prana is the breath or the life force, and the yam is to extend it, to make it, to become aware of it, and how to slow down your breathing, how to convert, how to make it more health-giving. So after the breath came complete stillness. So stillness also induced into that breath. So, all the yogis and all, we talk about life is measured by the number of breaths that we have on planet Earth. So everybody is trying to extend their breaths and make them longer, and, not because stress makes you breathe very fast, right? So it's about becoming still. And the third part of it was always about listening. So the stillness, I always feel that stillness was like meditative, and it was also silence, because stillness can be inducing silence within yourself. And then comes the listening part of it, that are you listening to your thoughts? Are you listening to what your body is hearing, that you're saying, I want to breathe differently, I want to make this breath. And some people will count, the in-breath is 4 to the count of 4, and the out-breath is to the count of 8. Or somebody can do 8 and 12, depending on what kind of breathing you're working with. And so finally, it's about breathing, stillness and silence, and listening. So when you can do these 3 in any waking moment, you know that time is passing by.
Oh, wow. So that is the key. You've just given us the key, that when we are not participating in any of these 3, so it can, so we could be participating in 2 and not 1. So we know that life and time is ebbing away.
And sometimes we say you're wasting time, but I say that stillness is not a waste of time, because it's actually, you are re-educating yourself in that stillness and that silence. You're able to see, what you said wrong, or what you should have said, or what is the exam that you're preparing for, or what is it that you are going to do next. In that now moment, you are in conversation with yourself. And if you are in that conversation with yourself, then you are listening. And in that listening, you know that something is passing by.
Because you are breathing. you're listening to your breath.
Yeah, and I think is this the Ujjayi Pranayam where they talk about the ocean breath?
Yes.
That the wave is coming and the wave is
going, and then it's from the throat.
Yeah, and it
sounds like a deep
receipt.
Rumbling in the sea
in the
bed,
ocean.
in the ocean bed.
And so
Absolutely.
that in some of the Vedic scriptures I have read that they say that the passage of time can also be measured by the receding of the wave from the shore.
Wow, so many things to connect to in Mother Nature. And how beautifully you've given us both. My questions have been answered and so much more. That when we are in stillness and we are breathing and we are listening to that breath and listening to the self and listening and reflecting to the ocean breath, then we are truly knowing that time is passing, and then we are in that moment, and hence we then are not connecting to the past, but
or not waiting for the future.
We're living in this moment, and through connecting to that breath of the wave, we're riding the wave of time.
Yeah.
So that is so beautiful, Ma. And we have 2 questions from Sakshi. And of course, welcome everyone who's just tuning in. And we are discussing and exploring with Renooji, with Ma, of how we experience time and whether time is a reality or illusion. And thus far in this, exploration and conversation with Ma for the Sunday Collective, it has quite definitely been established that time is a reality. And if we are living in an illusion, what is that is what we're going to come to in the next part of this beautiful conversation. And that's what Ruchi says. Ruchi says, lots of love to Ma. And she says that what a beautiful conversation today.
Yes.
So yes, I agree with that. So Sakshi asks that, Ma, how can someone make good use of each moment of time in this lifetime?
If you've already wasted some time. Instead of doing, you're just meditating on how. Just do, you'll discover what is good for you and what is not. So I always tell people that don't waste time thinking, should I do this, should I do that? Oh, I'll ask somebody else. Because finally you are going to do what you're going to do. Even if you can get the best brains in the world to give you, instructions, I've not found people really listening because they are spontaneously doing, or their karma is catching up with them and is forcing them to do things that they may not want to do. And they sometimes reflect, why did I do that? I really didn't want to do it.
So when we say that time stood still, these are phrases in language, how we sort of interact with time, and we say that time stood still, or there was a great stillness in the air.
Or there was great movement, like somebody's in an accident, they have flashes.
And time sped up.
Yeah, really
and
speeded
past,
up.
present, and future
all
can co-join to become one. So what is that experience? Are those spiritual experiences and mystical experiences?
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit about the mysticism of time?
Yes, the mysticism of time is very sweet. I can share with you a little story from one of my earliest healing seminars, which was like, I was in my early 40s and I was conducting this healing seminar in Jerusalem. And there was this very young student of mine who was 97 years old at that time. And she said that she really wanted to heal her life. And that's why she was in the seminar. And she kept telling me that, I have so much time on my hands. I have so much time on my hands. So I said to her in the seminar that, okay, I'm going to send you so much healing to do something very fruitful with all this time that you have on your hands. And it was very, very sweet that after I finished the seminar and I came back to India, and then a few months later I went back, and she was there for the second level of the healing seminar, and she was really very enthusiastic, and she said that your healing was magical, and she was calling me Mama Renu, and I was like quite taken aback. And then I was just looking at her and I said, so what happened in your life? So she said, it all started with a lot of sadness, but I became very enthusiastic. So then what happened was that there's a little, in the Golden Heights, in the forest, there had been a fire. And so she had heard from someone that there had been this fire and, some people had lost their homes. And so she decided that she was going to go to that place and she was going to do some touch healing to that land. And then when she went, she found some of the trees had also, perished. And there were some remnants of pieces of wood which were like driftwood or... touched with some burn marks on it, but the wood hadn't fully burnt. So she felt very inspired to bring those pieces of wood with her from that healing. And then she got some sandpaper and then she started to do sculptures with those wooden pieces, and she created some marvelous pieces of wood. So she said that she had a lot of time on her hands and her hands spoke to her, and they got the sandpaper, and then she felt that it was the best use of her time. And then she had, I think after she connected to the second level of healing, she had this very mystical experience of creating all her figurines were mother and child. So the mother was holding the baby in her arms, in the lap, and, feeding on the breast. And they were really mystical pieces of wood that she had picked up that was just left from Mother Nature. And she was bringing them, and she was very enthusiastic. And she kept doing, and she just kept saying, I have so much time on my hands. And she worked on a lot of sculptures she did. So, time is mystical, and it's how you approach it. Somebody may say, oh, I'm, 50 years old and I'm already very old. Somebody 97 was enthusiastic enough to go to that place to do the healing because she was so wanting, her heart was so open and the universe, the trees talked to her and they said that this is what we want you to do. We don't want to perish because we lived on planet Earth and, some parts of us didn't want to die, and it's still there, and we still want to live and be appreciated on somebody's mantelpiece. And so she started creating, and then she started selling some of her sculptures, and she was very well received by the public at large, and she became quite famous as a sculptress. So that's the mysticism of time, and it's also answering Sakshi's question of what should we do to make the best use of our time. Finally, it's your hands, your mind, your education, your spirit of adventure, your willingness to share, your love will reciprocate. I've seen sometimes in, walking in the woods, because I love spending time with nature. I've seen that if there is a particular tree that is infested with some disease, it's already sending out messages to the other trees that be careful, I've got infested and I'm going to try and heal myself, so send me some healing energies. So the roots under the ground, other trees send special healing to the roots of that tree, and they are enmeshed together. If you look at it, I'm sure with some satellite pictures we could see what's happening to the roots of other trees that are supporting it.
Yes, I mean, there's so much research on this, but a very good, or easy to sort of think about example that everyone listening in can connect to is the Amazonian rainforest. That it's actually a neural network.
Yeah.
And so it responds, the growing, even the dying. It's like a symphony and a very living, breathing organism of all these trees and the flora and the fauna all together. Yes.
Yeah. It's very interesting how they will congregate together.
And so that communication through time, then that just this visual of the trees having this neural network of communication and healing and experiencing time in their own personal yet unified spaces comes to sort of one thought or image that I've just suddenly had in my head of one of my physics teachers explaining like quantum theory, or like, the multi-dimensional aspect of how time can be experienced differently by the same organism or in the same realm. And he showed us like a piece of fruit, and he said that the skin of the fruit, like an orange or a melon, could be decaying and have fungus, but when you cut the fruit inside is pristine. It's like not
fresh.
It's fresh. It hasn't,
to eat.
and it's good to eat, and it hasn't been, or it hasn't experienced time
Decay.
the same way, or the decay the same way as its outer shell has. So, what is your response to that from a spiritual perspective? Are there two layers to our consciousness? That is
many layers.
Many layers.
Many
Okay,
layers.
many layers. And so could you give us a glimpse into what that looks like?
Yeah, because I would again refer it, just for simplistic understanding, I would explain it with the chakras of our body and the symphony of sound and the symphony of the different colors of the rainbow that permeate through our body. And as we are breathing out colors, and we're breathing in colors from the universe. And depending on time, place and circumstance where we are at a particular time, the universal energies around us will also collaborate and will infuse us with their positive or negative impressions, and we will come back from place of maybe death, and we will feel very energized and very strong, and we may go to a party and come back feeling very tired and very unhappy, and nobody said anything, but it's just the energies that we are connecting and absorbing,
like that neural network.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so sometimes people can be psychic vampires and they can pull your energy. And sometimes people can be very collaborative and they are nurturing and they are collaborating and they are assisting and they are emotionally tied, maybe from different lifetimes, to give you some warmth, some care, some comfort.
So I have a slightly adjacent question that is not so time related, but to this energy related question. May I ask?
Yes.
That in popular psychology, like one will explain like commonly what one factor, one key aspect that differentiates extroverts and introverts from a personality paradigm is that the extrovert will gain a lot of energy from being in large groups and feel very happy and energized, and an introvert will feel depleted and not very happy when they're in these large groups of unknown people. So does that correlate, or is that true, or what is it actually that psychology is trying to describe, that you see clairvoyantly and
what I
energetically?
see is that people who are introverts have very weak or very small root chakras and hara chakras, and that's not because they've done anything wrong. It's just that they are not greedy enough or inquisitive enough about the universe that they're living in. Whereas people who are extrovert and are very collaborative with the universal energies have very, very large solar plexus, heart and throat chakras, and they are always infusing themselves with new energy, new ideas, new conversations, new concepts, and they're very inquisitive and greedy and curious, I would say, and they are in that curiosity, they are absorbing because they are open. And so a lot of introverts, I've seen them have transformation when they come to healing.
They become extroverts.
Yeah, they become super extroverts and they really get charged up. And then all these 5 basic chakras of the root and the hara and the solar plexus and the heart and the throat, which is at the, along the spinal column, are resonating. The root is resonating with the red color, the hara is with the orange, the solar plexus is yellow, the heart is green and pink, and the throat chakra, which is in collaboration with our throat and our communicative center, is the astral plane of being in the now, in fullness. So then if you visualize them as little glasses, these chakras, that they're all brimming over and overflowing. And for somebody who's introvert, that the glass is full, but it's not overflowing. So sometimes I do share with people who are a little bit introvert when they come to healing, that they must use their left and right hand, because the left hand is about receiving and the right hand is about giving. So sometimes people who are introvert have not opened themselves up to receiving and the ability to give further. So I tell people that, they can go and sit in the park and they can invite the beautiful leaves and the flowers and the perfumes of the various flowers. They can appreciate and invite them into their energy field, and definitely take a few coins and share them with, if not with somebody who needs them, then leave them under the tree. The tree is the fabulous generator of the 5 energies of air, water, fire, earth and space, harmonically collaborating with anybody who sits under the tree.
Okay, wow. That is just opened up such a deeper understanding of how people's personalities change overnight. Is that there could be a healing intervention, known or unknown, and they can have transformation. So then that makes me think that, can an extrovert become an introvert because of trauma or pain
or suffering or criticism or just being in the wrong group of friends and family? I always tell people that having a shower in the bathroom is one experience, but when you actually step out of your house, when it's raining and you get drenched in the rain or you dance in the rain, it's a very liberating experience, because that blue light of the rainfall is immediately penetrating your throat chakras, and it's giving you a thrill and a very euphoric experience of the pitter-patter of the raindrops gently caressing every part of your skin, and rivulets of water flowing down from your crown chakra and over your eyes, and you're trying to clear the water out of your eyes. And so it's very interesting to see that water is a very, very deep cleanse, and at the same time, whether you drink a glass of water, you go into the pond or the ocean or into a swimming pool, the experiences are different. Or you just run in the rain, the mud puddles stamping the water, it's going to really open up your knee chakras, open up your feet chakras, and take you to wider. You're widening your horizon of experiences in life, and you are moving ahead, because there is a synchronicity in all the chakras of our body, and they're all collaborating. And that experience of a deep cleanse, and you are in contact with Mother Earth and the water element, and of course you're breathing. And the sun may also be shining somewhere and creating a rainbow to further augment your beautiful chakras.
That's such a beautiful vision and experience, and I'm just connecting back to my childhood and even teenage years, when one would have like a rain bath or a rain dance. Yes. So that's wonderful. And so I see a lot of new people who've just joined in, who are tuning in and listening. So hello once again to everyone.
Hello everybody, nice
Happy
to see
Sunday.
you. Yes, and I hope you all had a great Diwali. And of course the lamps, when you light them on Diwali, they're also doing some magical deep penetration into your solar plexus and your crown chakras, and they're twinkling and they're allowing you to gather the light, and in that light to reinvent yourself.
Wow. That's amazing. So there was a time related question
Yes.
earlier. I'm just scrolling up from
Okay.
Facebook, where it says that a question related to time of death. Would you like to take this?
Yes,
Ma?
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So Sakshi asks that, Ma, I have a question related to time of death, as it's a predicted or predestined moment.
No,
No, it isn't. So I think that answers her question.
no. There's no fixed time of death. We are always having choices, and the soul chooses the time of exit. We have free will, and depending on different time frames, every 7 seconds, 7 minutes, 7 hours, 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, and 7 years. When all these are strung together in that one moment in time, you have an opportunity to leave your physical body. But nobody knows, and nobody can say, this is the time I'm going to die.
And nobody can
Finally.
tell someone else that this is the time that you're going to die.
Yes.
Okay.
We do say in astrology and all sometimes that you have a markesh. Markesh means that you could either be very sick or you could have an opportunity to exit. But that's not always correct.
Because there can be divine interventions, and of course free will
And choices.
and choices are such a big part of this reality loop
Yes.
of experience through time.
And also I must add that how much charity you've done in your life
that influences
is your time of death, and
the way that you will die.
the way you're going to live,
Okay.
and also the way you're going to exit.
So I will echo Ria, who's joining in from Nottingham, her words where she says, this is such an intriguing conversation. Thank you, Ma, for the knowledge.
Yes.
So I couldn't have said it better myself, Ria.
Intriguing, epic.
Yes, I had said that it's going to be an epic
Conversation
in the Sunday Collective, and it's absolutely
turning into that.
And Ashwini Bhaiya logs in
Hello.
and says, love you, Mom,
Love
bowing
you,
at your
Mom.
lotus feet, your son.
Big hugs.
And so now, as we're approaching the second hour, as time has passed by and we have...
it was an illusion.
It was an illusion.
I wasn't even here. I didn't say anything.
That is so... it sounds so funny for all those of us who have... or all those who are listening and who would have chosen illusion. Now, this is where I am posing a question from the entire collective's side and curiosity. That what then is an illusion? Because going back to the initial discussion where when our senses are corrupted or our senses misfire or they are misinterpreting reality, then we consider that to be an illusion. Like if I close my eyes and touch something and I think that, oh, this is feeling like, a glass table, but it turns out to be something else. So
I remember once that we had blindfolded. It was a very naughty, wicked part of a gameplay.
Yes,
and we had everybody had to blindfold, and we were going to put 3 things in their mouth, and that they were all going to have so much, flavor in that thing. So we were feeding everybody potatoes. Uncooked potatoes.
Oh.
So somebody said
not
it
even
was
boiled?
an apple. No, uncooked.
Okay, uncooked.
Sliced, thinly sliced. And somebody thought it was a pineapple. Somebody said it was an apple. Somebody said it was a piece of stale bread. So, the imagination ran very, very wild. So
and what were the other 2 things? I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, we fed them a potato. And the second thing was we made them smoke a cigarette.
Okay.
And so somebody thought it was chocolate cake. Somebody, it was like they just felt that it was like hot on their lips a little bit. And so it was really funny, and we had pinched their nose. So because with your sense of
smell,
smell, you
you
can
can
really tell, right?
tell,
So
yes.
we had pinched their nose, blindfolded them, and of course
They
give
could
them
hear.
earplugs.
Oh, you gave them earplugs as
And
well?
then they were supposed to experience and tell us what they were eating. And one was a potato, one was, of
The
course, a
cigarette.
cigarette. And we had given them, I think, some lychee juice.
Okay.
So they all said it was very, very sweet, and somebody thought it was cold iced tea, and somebody thought because they could not smell.
Smell.
So smell and sight, very good.
Okay, so
senses.
smells. So it's actually what we are assuming is reality is a
Combination of
all our senses functioning together.
functioning together, yeah.
Oh wow.
And how much of our taste buds are collaborating with our sense of sight and our smell.
So then to really simplify it for myself,
Yeah.
and maybe this will be helpful for others as well, that then illusion is actually can be defined by just this simple statement that when our senses are out of balance, that is illusion, creating illusion.
Yes.
So that's why all ancient practices, wellness practices, healing practices, yoga, Ayurveda, and other traditions and lineages focus on the senses and bringing balance and harmony to the senses.
Yes. And
Oh,
I
wow.
suddenly remembered that we also had butter, salty
Okay.
butter. So they were not sure what it was. They just kept saying it's something very delicious. They couldn't really tell whether it was just pure butter or were we giving them something.
Some cream
gooey.
or gooey or something luscious. Oh, that really then answers the illusion aspect of it. Is there anything else, Ma, that you would like to share with us about like warning signs of when we are sort of dipping into or diving into illusions that are harmful?
Yeah, I think most of us are always diving into illusion. This one said this, that one, my boss didn't give me enough of a bonus, and I have a female boss and she just doesn't like men. Like people have so many social, emotional reactions to stimuli. But if you blindfolded them, maybe they would do better work. That's why I feel that in the pandemic, there has been a lot of, work from home for people. And a lot of companies have done really, really well, far beyond the expectations, even though businesses were down. And but people have been really happy being part of a group of collaborative workers who's all been individually. There's been that competitive spirit, and I think what's been missing is the gossip and the manipulation, because how much can you manipulate somebody who's not even in your environment, right? And you're not talking bad about the boss, you're not complaining about the company, you're not complaining, and you're not even sharing how much of a bonus or increase in pay that you've got or a pay cut that you've got. No, who are you going to say it to? You're so busy trying to get your work done, manage the family, get your children educated, help them with their logins and logouts.
Yes, absolutely.
Their Zoom or their smartphones or whatever they're using. So I'm just saying that times really change. And, if I was looking at, I think I turned on the TV today and there was some ad that was saying that if you buy this smartphone, we'll give you 6,000 rupees of talk time free or something.
Okay.
And I was thinking maybe 2 years ago, it wouldn't even have struck them to, use that as an advertising gimmick. Right?
Yes.
So it was very interesting. And it was the first time for me that I got a message on my phone saying that you've run out of your SMS space.
Okay.
So that was quite interesting. So it's a different language. We're living in a different time frame. and everything is changing. Yes, everything is changing, and people are changing, their needs are changing, the environment is changing, emotions are changing, support systems are changing. The universe is still the same, nature is still the same. How people, the needs of the people are the same. So what is changing? The consciousness, the education, the assimilation of knowledge, or is it isolation? So again, going back to your breath, the stillness, and listening. Stillness also meant silence, is what I said right in the beginning. So I found that those 3 tools really help a lot of people become better human beings. Because sometimes if you're not just chattering and complaining and agitating yourself, you just watch your breath and you're in a space of stillness just for a few moments and you listen. You will hear things that will really educate you, give you a heightened sense of deep awareness. And in that awareness, you will know that there are consequences in the universe that you're living in, but they don't always have to be bad consequences. You can have strangers coming up to you, assisting you, loving you, supporting you, doing something for you. And so finally, it is what are you doing for the universe that you live in? So that's very important. I know a lot of people on Diwali Day have prayed to Lakshmi Ji, give me this, give me that. And so what have they done? So what do you think people have done? It would be interesting to note today that what are the things that people have done for the divine, or for the elders in the family, or for society at large. So maybe 2 things that you're grateful for, that you've done for your community. It would be interesting to know. So that would be your preparation for the time ahead. I have heard people saying, oh, the universe doesn't need anything from us. Yes, Divya, you're very silent.
No, I'm just trying to think of what are the 2 things that would be very meaningful that one could put on that list. And I'm just pensive about, yes, everyone I'm sure was more tied up in general about, inviting the divine home and, requesting for more money, more good health. And of course, in all, even the WhatsApp messages that we all sent out to our loved ones and friends and family, those were the themes that may everyone be wealthy and auspicious and opulent and healthy and wise and work with wisdom and strength and move with the light. But what are we doing practically to achieve those things or nurture those things, those seeds and those trees in this neural network of our communities, families, societies, is something that is really a very, very profound question that you have guided us to ask ourselves.
Yeah. And
Yes.
should I share one very funny thing that there's somebody who's living in Canada who was in conversation with me. And I said that, according to your planetary position, you should really be looking out for the welfare of cows. So, maybe you can find some organization where you can donate some greens for the cows on a monthly basis. And he turned around and he told me, I thought all cows are self-sufficient. All they have to do is go and graze in the greens. So I was like, okay. So, that was his awareness. So
he didn't want to even participate and contribute with another being.
So what do you think was he doing with the human beings he was living with?
Also probably assuming that they are self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And that he doesn't have to interact or give any khad pani. So
no nurturance.
And so Sumita joins us and
From
sends her
London.
love.
Hello, love you, beta.
And she says, thank you for shining light on this, ma'am. I don't think I have done anything, but I will do from now on.
Good. Nice, sweet, honest answer.
Yes.
She's been with the light for 25 years. Wake up now.
Yes. And then we have Parul Kashyap, who asks that, respected ma'am, please guide us on ways to silence the chatter in the mind so that one could slip into some moments of silence and meditation.
In the Vedic injunctions, it is always that you should chant and the Gayatri mantra, whether it's at the time of birth, whether it's at the time of death, whether it's at the time of celebrations, whether it's in the time of sorrow, whether it's in the time of fear and loneliness or celebration. It's always the Gayatri mantra is chanted to create all auspiciousness. So maybe we can chant it for the welfare of everyone who's listening.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Bhurvubhuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi diyo yo na prachodhayatum. Om Bhurvubhuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi diyo yo na prachodhayatum. Om Bhurvubhuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi diyo yo na prachodhayatum. Om Bhurvubhuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi diyo yo na prachodhayatum. Om Bhurvubhuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi diyo yo na prachodhayatum. Om Bhurvubhuva swaha tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi diyo yo na prachodhayatum. So that's the best way to shut the chatter of the mind, the negative vibrations, the frequencies of collaborative effort with other negative thoughts that are being churned out. I call it the Xerox machine of our brain, that you keep repetitively turning out the same negative sound again and again and again, and you have no control. So I just say that compliment yourself and chant Om or chant the Gayatri mantra and make some positive affirmations, and very soon you will start taking out the positive Xerox, because the Xerox is going to come. That's part of the human anatomy. So we can't say that don't think, because think we must.
Think we must. And in that thinking, we have Preeti, who shares a very sweet interaction of her son, Tinu, who loves feeding biscuits to squirrels and dogs and loves
So
feeding
sweet.
cows. And he makes us do this and participate with him as well. He has such simple priorities.
Very sweet.
And we have L. Khanna, 76, who says, Madam,
Okay.
please bless to be able to do more healing every day.
Yes, absolutely. I'm just sending lots of love and light to everyone out there. Even those who are not connected to healing, to get connected.
But get connected. And so we have, coming back to time, the question of time, Mayuri from Bombay asks that what does it mean when one says that uska waqt kharab ya bura chal raha hai ya uska waqt acha chal raha hai, that person's time is inauspicious or bad, or the person's time is good and well and auspicious.
When somebody's having a string of episodes in their life which are not making them feel very fortunate, then they're complaining, and they're saying this happened, that happened, this bad happened, there was an accident, there was a fire, there was this, I cut my hand, I lost my job. So then people will colloquially say that the time that he's passing through is not auspicious. And when somebody is saying, oh, my daughter's getting married, now I'm doing this, and I'm going on a world tour, and I've got a new job, and my salary's jumped up to 50%, and I've got 100% raise, and oh, everything is so wonderful, I've fallen in love, and now I have not many husbands, but maybe many girlfriends. And then, so, if you're just happy and bubbling, enthusiastic, and the joie de vivre is very obvious, then you say that the person is having a great time and is going through some very auspicious moments in their life. So they say, ki waqt acha hai. It's all self-experience. I don't think anybody else can say that uska time acha hai. The person himself has to say.
I think that is a paradigm shift, because I think most of us are generally looking for other people to validate our experience or the choices that we make, and we have to come to a space of accountability, responsibility, and acceptability of the choices that we are creating.
Passing through and we are creating. And a lot of people will say, oh, that person will give me the evil eye and it's not good, so I'm not going to tell all my good things to anyone. So you may keep thinking ki unka time kharab hai, but maybe they're really going through a great time. So we don't know.
Correct.
Mayuri, I hope that's satisfactory. Tumhara time bahut acha chal raha hai because you're a healer.
Yes, ma'am.
See, I'm saying it.
Yes. So we do make these judgments of time, and I'm now...
They're very flippant.
In a very flippant way, but I'm now reminded of your guidance on how time management is so very, very important. And a few Sundays ago, and even in the healing retreat, annual healing retreat this year, Ma, you elucidated for us that how time management is one of the key aspects of healing procrastination in our life.
And to lead a fulfilled life where you're satisfied and grateful.
Yes. And so, of course, the time management exposition you have given us time and time again. So in this moment, at this time, what about all of us our time is managed by others, or our time is committed to other people and events? So a very good example could be that if someone is a doctor and they have to perform a surgery, then they have committed their skill, their education, their time, their expertise, and also the resources of the hospital or the clinic that they work at for this other individual who is seeking this surgery. And so that is a commitment of time. Yes, I mean there is a payment, and there is a reciprocity, and there's an energy exchange. So how do we understand these exchanges of time for money
Yeah, so everybody,
in the material world.
in the material world, everything has a price, and everybody is paying a price. Somebody is paying it in dollars, somebody is paying it in rupees, somebody is paying it by sharing their time, and somebody is paying it with emotion, somebody is paying it with tragedy, somebody is paying it with education, somebody is paying it with, giving up something. I know somebody gave up that job because they had to teach their nephew how to study, because otherwise he would have failed his exams. And then somebody else was babysitting so that the brother and bhabhi could go to work, and that they were babysitting, and so they gave up their job. So everybody is giving up something for belonging to a group, and sometimes they're giving up because they want to reciprocate what the others are doing for them, right?
Yes.
So everybody has a interactive neural network.
Yes.
So everybody doesn't know where the neural network is. Maybe it's crown chakra to crown chakra, or solar plexus to solar plexus. Maybe you are playing cards on Diwali night, so there's winning and losing, or you could be setting up a new business, and that could be you are ideating because you have a business proposal which can be, through the expertise of somebody else, can be put into practice. And then you set up the business, and then after a few months you realize that you could have done it alone. Then there's a lot of misunderstanding, there's a lot of bad blood, there's a lot of rethinking, and then you could both go your separate ways, and then maybe both of you do equally well, or maybe one of you do well and the other goes back to a job. I don't know. It could be dependent on so many other factors which are karmic in nature, which are coming from previous life experiences and what you've done in this life before you came to that point in your life.
So, kind of relating it to Mayuri's question and your beautiful, simple, but very, I think, reflective answer, where it's like we have to take the accountability for the time that we are experiencing. The same way we have to make our choices on how we want to manage and spend, and now exchange our time for whether it's money, affection, love, socio-cultural value, so some people may not choose to go to the job, and they might choose to go to a protest, or like if you look at the Greta Thunbergs of the world, you may not, a lot of children might choose not to go to school because the priority is to global warming and climate change, and so if there is no planet left, then what is the point of going to school? I think that was the idea. So I'm just giving these as like very simple examples. And so the point that I wanted to tie it up to Mayuri's question of the time that we're experiencing, that then do we have different shades and hues of time? And what do I mean by that is that when we nostalgically think of experiences and we say that, oh, that time of my life was the greatest, or there will come a time when I will, be happy, or, for someone else, it could be when they have children, or these future time managements. So plans, is there something we should indulge in, or we should just be in the moment?
No, we should be in the now and doing a perfect action and reciprocal action, that whatever the universe has given, whatever we are asking for, how are we collaborating? How are we giving back? It doesn't have to be a big thing. I say even watering a plant is a big thing, right? Putting on some seeds for the birds or feeding the cows. It could be all part of a collaborative interaction which you could be creating for yourself in the now, and for always postponing and procrastinating and saying, okay, I'm going to do it. Somebody even will say that, oh, my parents do it. Like she just said that Tinu inspires us to do it. So I know that she has to help Tinu because he's not, out and about. But if it's not coming from her, then Tinu's getting the benefit karmically.
Even
She's
if
not
she is
getting
participating.
Yeah, because she's doing it because he wants to do it. And the fact that he's already so old and he's been doing it, by now she should have been also wanting to do something more. Right? So we can be influenced. That's why they say that associate with the truth. Satsang is associating with the truth of your reality. So satsang is very important because you do get impregnated with the thoughts and the consciousness of others. The same way the trees are also impacting the dogs. You know, if you have street dogs, one barks, then everybody's barking. If you have birds on a tree that are saying that the cat is coming, then you have many trees. The birds on all the trees are making the same kind of noise, right? So everybody is looking out for the welfare, even in the birds, even in the animals, even in the, what would I say, plant kingdom, fishes, shoals of fishes move together even in the ocean bed. So we have to collaborate and we have to see what we are giving out there and not make some big plan that when I'll have this much money, then I'll do it. Do it with whatever you have right now. Do it with your physical body. Do it with your intention. Do it with your mind. Do it with your emotions. So that's very important.
Wow.
So we have to collaborate. We have to not be greedy, only looking out for the welfare of what are we getting, what are we wanting, what are we needing. Turn it around to say that what can I do today to help my universe? What can I do for someone? Maybe I can phone somebody who's lonely. Maybe I can shop for somebody who's finding it difficult, is not well and is not able to get to the shops in time. Maybe you can do so many things for your community, but are you caring enough and wanting to do them is the point I'm illustrating. And that time, that moment will not come back. So you have to do it now.
So how do we prioritize? Is there like a list that we can go through in our day or in our life that are, of course, our karmic and dharmic duties, our responsibilities, our professional, personal responsibilities. So what comes, and of course, like what we call me time, time for the self. How do we prioritize all this?
I was in a session with the family and I was telling them that, okay, I'm going to give each one of you a mantra to chant. So the father, when I told him that he said, can you just give it to my wife? Then I went to the son, he said, can you just give it to my mother? Then I went to the daughter, she said, can you just give it to my mother? Then they had a niece living with them who was also part of the session. So I said to the niece, will you chant? She said, no, Bhua will chant for me. So then I was looking at all of them and I was saying that this family can't really progress. So who's that one person who's going to progress?
The Bhua mother wife, the lady.
And she's the only one who had the job in the family, who was already carrying the bandwagon and being the horse in front of the cart, and they were all okay to sit on the cart and get a free ride. So I think that we have to watch who are we giving a free ride to and why are we not inspiring them to also do. So I told them that no, I'm just going to give her what the day you want, you call me.
Okay, wow.
So I just gave her mantra to chant. I said, you carry on, you keep safe, you be well, you be healthy, and let them all decide. So it's very, very interesting how the symphony of a family, just this little interaction could tell me that they were all procrastinators. So sometimes it can be a mantra, sometimes it can be just an affirmation, sometimes it can be just a willingness to participate, to do something, right?
Absolutely.
So time is a great teacher and a great healer. because we will always find that people's sad stories don't leave them that easily. They keep them in their memory banks and they hold on for very, very, very long times. So I think chanting a mantra or doing the healing, reciprocating with some acts of kindness,
Charity and kindness.
and charity, they really help a long, long, long way. And sometimes people say, we need money to do charity. And I say, no. I know so many people who go to the gurdwaras and they do jute ki seva, They just give the tokens to the people and they just keeping the shoes till the person comes
You
back.
can do jal seva, juta seva,
Seva, bartan ki
seva, kitchen
car
seva, car
cleaning
seva.
the thing.
Yes.
Car seva is not washing cars. Car means hands,
Hands.
doing something with your hands.
All these would be considered car seva.
seva,
They're all the
yeah.
different subtypes. But yes, of course, if you don't go to a gurdwara, you can find a soup kitchen that you can volunteer in. You can find a school that you can volunteer in. I have so many friends of mine who've dedicated, I think, 4 years of their life for Teach for India. That is also seva for the country, for the generation, for the community. So it depends how much time you have to dedicate to these acts of service. I think that's what it is. Is that a correct understanding?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have Manish who says something very interesting, his own summation he shares of what's being discussed. And he said that is it then that time is never good or bad? It's our actions and results of actions making us experience that time as good or as bad.
Exactly. And I tell all healers that all time is good. Because if we are not experiencing some great euphoria, then remember that it's like a bank account, and whatever is distasteful is actually you're depleting your negative bank account. And when you're having fun and good times and all, you're just spending all your good karma. So sometimes we should watch. I'm not saying be sad and unhappy, but be in balance.
I think that is the greatest takeaway from today. And as we sort of are approaching the conclusion 20 minutes of today's Sunday Collective, just opening it up again to the collective for your own questions related to the topic today that Ma and I sort of chose to explore, or any other question that you have, and I'll try my best to get to them.
Yes.
And we have some messages of love for you, Ma, from Suryanshi Chanana.
Oh, so sweet. I love you, Metta.
Yes. She says that you provide us with all the answers required for life. We can only be thankful to you. Love you.
Love you more. She was doing Rangoli the last time I spoke to her. Nice, sweet.
Very sweet.
Loving the house. That's a good act, the Rangoli in the house.
Yes.
Because it's for Lakshmi Ji's Swagat. You're telling her to come. I'm ready. I'm inviting you.
Yes, Ma.
So maybe we can do some
mantra chanting for Mahalakshmi.
Yes.
Absolutely, Ma. Om Shri Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. Om Shri Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. Om Shri Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. Om Shri Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. Shri Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. Om Hun Sa. 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 Om Shrim Klim Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. 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 Om Shring Ring Kling Mahalakshmi Namo. 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 Om Namo Padma Padmavati Sarvajanna Mohini Sarvakaryakarini Mam Manorat Purni Mam Chinta Churni Mam Vikata Sankata Harini. Om Namo Padmavati Namaha.
Nice. Thank you.
Grateful for the opportunity to glorify Mahalakshmi Ji's energy and presence. As we've concluded yesterday with the celebrations
Pujas
of the
of Bhai
pujas
Dooj.
of Bhai Dooj, which concludes the Diwali
And we
Shubh
continue
Avsar.
with the Kartik month of
Kartik
celebration.
month of celebration and illumination.
So that's a very good mantra to chant in this month is Om Namo Narayanaya.
Yes, Ma.
So
shall
maybe we should chant
it?
it 11 times.
Okay, wonderful. So inviting those of you who know to join us, and those of you who are just listening and enjoying the vibes and the chants, continue to do so with a open, loving heart. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo
sweet. Thank you, Divya. That was very nice.
Grateful, Ma. Really loved being here and journeying through this time, about time, in time, with everyone's time here
Yeah.
today.
Very sweet. There are no more questions and no more ideas.
No more ideas. Just a lot of love. Grateful for the divine connection. Beautiful chanting, says Dr. Beenu Nair. Gorika joins
So
and
sweet.
says, so grateful. Shubrata says, so grateful, Ma'am and Divya, for the beautiful chanting. So I think everyone is in a very
Very
satisfied space
in this moment in
in
time.
time.
They're having a great time. They're enjoying.
And a lot of namaskaras and flowers.
And we will leave them with this idea that they should do two good things every day. Not for themselves or their family, but somebody outside.
Wow.
So let's catch them on Sunday next at 5 p.m. and see
what we shall discover and heal with Ma in togetherness.
Yes.
So
Love
beautiful.
you all.
Love you all. Grateful, Ma.
Bye-bye. Love you all.